Are we live?
We're live.
Yes, we're live. We're alive. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Stone here in the forest in Northeast Pennsylvania, and I'm excited to be here with Jim Fuse, my co-host, who is going to introduce who our amazing guest is for today.
Tim, great to be here. Great to see you. It's hump day, as some people would say. And actually, for our guest, it's like actually almost Thursday. And you're probably saying, what do you mean? So, really excited to have Brigetti join us from Cape Town, South Africa, where it's actually 11:30 p.m. And so, thank you so much for joining us for so late for you. And then, of course, it's funny, right, Tim? We've almost been at both extremes where we had Annette McDonald join from Australia at like 2, 3 in the morning. So we appreciate our guests that are willing to go that extra mile. Thank you so much. So, Brigetti, tell us about yourself. We want to learn more and have everyone at home learn more about you.
First of all, thank you so much for having me as a guest on your show. So I'm in Cape Town in South Africa. I'm a live video producer and a talk show host. And I not only do my own shows, but I also do shows for other people. I've been going live since the Blab days, and I have produced over 1,000 live streams. I call myself an accidental live streamer because when I was going through some health issues, I always say that live streaming saved me from myself. And right in the early days, people talk about the pandemic now and how difficult it is, the adjustment, social distancing. But I live with an invisible disability, and so my whole life has been social distancing. And when things sort of took a real turn with my health, I stopped doing a lot of social stuff, and so being able to live stream was a godsend for me because it gave me the ability to do what I love, which is helping people, bringing communities together, and I could now do what I love virtually. Yes. So I was absolutely in my element when the ability to live stream became possible. And right in the beginning, when I started, the learning curve was horrendous. We didn't have all the bells and whistles we have now. But, what was amazing was learning early on in my journey how you can make not just a local impact, but a global impact with live streaming. Right in the beginning, I streamed about the Cape Town water crisis, and it was amazing to me how local and international radio and TV stations reached out to me for interviews. So I don't think that I ever would have been on international TV stations if it wasn't for live streaming. So that just sort of is a proof of concept that you opening up your business to a global audience. And that's one of the reasons why I think live streaming is so effective.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And thank you for sharing your story with us. That's so interesting. And we want to thank everyone who's tuning in. Junaid is watching. He says, "Hola, amigos." Love you as always. We love you also, Junaid, as well as 1,000 streams. That is amazing, Brigetti.
Thank you.
So Jim, shall we dive into our conversation? Are you excited?
Yes, very excited.
Do you want to take away question number 1 for Brigetti?
Yeah. So, Bridgetti, and you are setting a great example today. Why should we level up our on-camera appearance?
You know, due to we've got the pandemic to thank in a certain way, that there's a lot more acceptance for people to be online, because prior to the pandemic, trying to find a guest that would appear on camera was like trying to pull your teeth. People were just like, no, I'll give that a miss. I'm not getting on camera. Just no way. But since the pandemic's happened and this whole sort of Zoom culture, people are a lot more open to appearing on shows because they now more accustomed to being on camera. But what people don't realize is that how you appear on camera can influence how people see you, either negatively or positively. And so how you show up on camera is very, very important, because it's going to impact, you basically, every time you appear on camera, you're branding yourself. And when I first started live streaming, I never missed an opportunity. If someone said, "I'm looking for a guest," yay, my hand was raised. I'll be that guest. Because it's an opportunity to brand yourself. It's an opportunity to talk about what you do, to share what you know, for people to get to know you. So, never turn that down, but be mindful of how people, what people will see about you when you are on camera.
That's a
This
great
is such
point.
an Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's a great point. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I think that's a really, really, really great point. And I just started, Jim, you don't know this yet, but I just started working with a branding coach. So we'll be talking about things like this. And yeah, excited to have this conversation. So Brigetti, when you say on-camera appearance, what does that include? What do you mean by that?
Well, when I say on camera appearance, it's being mindful of what people will see about you when you appear on camera, not just your personal appearance, but also your background. What is it that people are going to be observing, and to be mindful of that? What kind of view is people going to get of you? Just to give you an example, I often have a look at, everything's online these days, and I look at our parliament, for example. It's like I don't even know how to describe it, but people are using green screens without any idea of how to use a green screen. That you need to be well lit, that you don't want to be wearing a green jacket, for example. And then all you see is this funny head bobbing. It's like, it's so distracting. People talk about Zoom fatigue. Those are some of the reasons why we suffer from Zoom fatigue, because now we watching this screen full of people, but we're also watching their mannerisms, their eye movement. I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes tune out and choose not to watch a live stream when the people participating are too distracting. Like, when I'm sitting there and I can see the person's looking at their phone, they're checking the messages, you can see they're
Right.
absent-minded. Their mind is not there. Or I can actually see it in people, in their demeanor, that they're distracted. Their mind somewhere else. They're thinking of something else. And then you almost know that when the presenter asks something, that person's going to trip up because they were not paying attention. You don't want to be that person. I once watched a live stream with a top executive of one of our top 5 banks, and he was presenting, and he was in his home office. And I was, I sat there and I was zoning in on all the things that he had in his office because it was so distracting. And there was one thing that was kind of killing me, thinking, what is that? And eventually I zoomed in because I was so interested in seeing what it was. A saw. And I'm like, come on, you're the marketing director of one of the big 5 banks. Why have you got a saw in your screenshot?
He's going to saw his desk in half and perform magic tricks.
So be mindful,
Yeah. I was going to say, Brigetti, I know one of my things I just really haven't got used to, and you guys are doing a great job of it, is I'm not a green screen fan. In fact, it's funny because people sometimes think that I have a green screen, but it's actually a vinyl background. And, I could maybe change it up, but I'm with you 100%. So many times we see people attempting to do green screens or using virtual backgrounds in Zoom, and it's like, just don't. We would be better off seeing the clutter behind you if that's what you're trying to hide than the green screen, because you're disappearing. Like they'll move their hands and their hands disappear, and just so many things that, if you're going to use a green screen, do it right or don't do it at all, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you 100%. If you don't know what you're doing, then don't do it. People don't know how to use lighting properly or effectively, or they have no lighting whatsoever, or they have a green screen and you can see all this movement from the office behind them. It's very distracting, and it distracts from your, if you're the main speaker, it distracts from your topic, from the conversation, because now people are not really paying attention to what you're saying 100%. They're being distracted by your background or your appearance. You know what really gets to me sometimes is is when people are being interviewed on national television, and these guys do not take 5 minutes to get their guests camera ready. And sometimes they're government officials, they're important people, and I'm thinking, really, could you not just take the time to get them camera ready? This is embarrassing. So I think that's kind of what thing where we have, as live streamers, because we're used to the medium,
Yes.
we have an advantage there because we're aware of these nuances. And even, national TV producers do not do what we do.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I know, and Tim, I'm sure you've seen it. You're thinking even like the television station, right? Even a lot of these television people, when all this stuff happened, right? It's been over a year, still don't know how to live stream remotely or anything else. Or they don't have the money to send these people. I mean, I've seen people that they like look blue from the lighting on them when they're on national television, and they're like, like you said, they're like some big, medical person or part of a company. It's like, did you guys like just decide to try it out now? Or, it's like, you almost feel like they say, oh, well, they're too important for us to bug them to make sure they look good, so we're just going to let them look bad.
It makes no sense at all, right? And the reason why it's so important is because you never know what opportunities you could be missing simply by not looking good on camera. I mean, if you're appearing on national TV on a live stream as an interview, and you don't look good, or your background's a mess, you may be missing up on a promotion at the office, or someone may have offered you your next big gig, but they look at how you appear and thinking, no, that person's not going to represent my business. No way. So there could be a lot of opportunities that you're missing out on simply because you're not paying attention to how you appear online.
So true. So true. Okay. Thank you, Brigetti. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. We are going to take a 15-second break for a message from our sponsor, StreamYard, which we love to use to produce the Tim and Jim show and many other shows. So see you on the flip side. Oh, hello, everyone. We are back. We are back on the Tim and Jim show, having a wonderful conversation with Brigetti here, talking all about on-camera appearance and how you can improve that. So thank you all for sticking with us. So Jim, do you want to take the next question for Brigetti? I clearly need more coffee. Let me do that as soon as I put this up.
Yeah. So Brigetti, what tips can you share with us on how we can take our on-camera appearance to the next level? Because we all want to try to get better, I think.
The tips are really very simple, and they don't really cost. They don't have to cost money. One of the things you could do is pay attention to your lighting. And that's a simple thing to fix. Really, it's a mistake people make constantly. Don't have light behind you. Don't sit in front of a window with the sun streaming in from behind you. The effect that's going to give, it's going to block out your face. And people are going to be seeing the light, not you. So what you do want to do, however, is to have front-facing light. And it's a simple thing. Just move, take a lamp that you've got in your house. You may need to remove the lampshade, but you want to have light from the front. So that's the one thing you want to do, is pay attention to the angles of the light. And, the more lighting you have, it'll cancel out shadows. But start with just a simple light that lights up your face. The next big thing, and this is a huge mistake that people also make, is the wrong camera angle. I see a lot of people make the mistake of a lot of people tend to use their built-in camera on their laptop usually.
Yes.
That's okay to start off with. You're not, if you're not live streaming professionally, it's okay. But you need to raise your camera angle. And that's so easy to do. Take a box, take some books, and you want the camera literally to just be just above your eye level. And so elevate your laptop you don't have to go and buy something. Just take whatever you have and raise your laptop. And then the other thing that you want to do is you want to, I don't know. I do, and I think most people do. When you're working on your laptop, you push the screen back, right? So that it leans back. That's a very bad camera angle, because you're going to get that up your nose kind of very unflattering look. Do not do that. So raise your laptop and then gently push your screen forward towards you. And instead of it being 100% upright, you want to just push it just a tad towards you. And that's going to give you the best camera angle if you are in fact using your built-in camera. And then another tip when it comes to looking good on camera, and I know the guys are going to say, well, I don't do the makeup thing. And when I'm talking about makeup, it's not really, I'm not saying powder and puff and put on colors on your, wear lipstick. No, that's not what it's about. Some of us have more shiny skin than others. It is what it is. Not all of us can help that or control that. So if you do know that you kind of lean towards that, just put some powder on your face. It'll just tone things down a little bit, and not, cause it to be distracting, especially if you're not sure, if you don't know how to angle the lights correctly. You may then end up with a very shiny nose or a very shiny forehead. Those are the kind of things that can distract people from your message. So you don't want to do that. You want to remove distractions that will distract people from paying attention to you 100%. And then preparation, preparation, preparation. Know what you want to look like on camera. My key sort of thing that I say to people is, if you're going to a boardroom meeting, how would you dress? Dress the same way. When I knew I was going to be on your show, I went and had a look at all the other shows, and I realized you guys dress pretty casually. And so, that's the way to go. So take your cues from what you would do in real life and then do the same thing. So don't rock up for your online board meeting in your sweats. It's inappropriate.
That's a great. I was just going to say that's a great point about, like, when you're going to go on somebody else's show, look at some videos and see how the host and the other guests appear in terms of what you're wearing, right? So you'll fit in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when I have a guest on my shows, for example, I go and Google them and I find other interviews that they have done. And, I look for questions that were asked and I see how they answer them. And then I decide on the direction I want to take and see if I can offer a different spin, because if it's the same people watching the show, I want to give them a different takeaway from the person. So, research, prepare, know what it is that you what kind of look you want to have, and pay attention to your mannerisms. Don't pick your nose, don't fiddle with your hair, don't fiddle with your clothes, don't do things that will make people feel uncomfortable. But you also don't want to stare at the camera and
right.
Just be yourself. And it does take a bit of practice. I'm not going to lie. It really does. The first couple of times you talking to a camera, you kind of feel really, really stupid. Yeah. But once you learn that the camera on the other side of the camera is the person that is seeing you, when that starts to dawn on you, it becomes a bit more comfortable. And so yes, just be aware. And then the other point is that you want to make sure you choose the right background. Now, the other day I had a lady, all my guests, one of my shows is the Writers' Corner live show, and I have a session with people before the show to make sure that all their tech works, to make sure that they know, that they decide on a background that they're going to be using on the day. And last week I had an author, and she was amazed at how different her background looked just after spending 10 minutes with me. And she's like, wow. And she was going to do a 3-day conference right after that. And she said, I feel so much more confident now going into this 3-day conference because you've helped me to feel more confident. And, now I understand what people are going to be seeing about me. She was a presenter at this conference, and I spoke to her a couple of days later, and she said it went great. She couldn't thank me enough for having helped her, just through that sort of whole camera confidence thing, and just being, knowing where to look, the lighting, everything. So plan these things. Don't wing it, is what I'm saying. Right. You cannot wing your online appearance. because as I said earlier, you don't want to miss a job opportunity. You don't want to miss getting, business deals simply because your on-camera appearance is not good.
Yeah, and Brigetti, I have a friend, Lem, and I think Tim may know him as well from the Ecamm community. And he brought up something a couple weeks ago when we were on a YouTube video, and he basically said that our virtual presentation has become like the new virtual suit. And so how we appear on camera, in some cases, like especially with a Zoom, is going to be like that first impression for some people. And so if you're, like you said, you got
Mm.
the camera up your nose and you're like just wandering all over the place, it's really going to be a challenge. Now you've done a thousand live streams, so I have to ask the question as well. Have you ever done anything like Toastmasters or anything like that to help you get better at your, I guess, one, your confidence, not only on camera but just with speaking?
I haven't. I did consider it, a couple of years ago, and for some reason I just never got to it. But no, I didn't. I I I I when got started, I watched a lot of the more experienced live streamers. I realized what I liked and what I didn't like for myself, and kind of, you don't want to become someone else. You don't want to imitate someone else because people are going to call you out. They're going to say, "Hey, you sound like whatchamacallit." You don't want to do that. You want to be, add your own flavor to your online presence. Be you. Because if you're not entirely yourself, you're going to appear uncomfortable, and people are going to see that as well. So rather be you.
Awesome. Tim, you're muted.
Take two. And thank you for being here, DJ Rodriguez. She's in my live streaming course. She says, hello, all. Of course, my student is here and I am on mute.
You're
Thank you.
just showing your, right? Even experienced live streamers, things happen. So thank you, Tim, for that great example for everyone.
Anytime. And Stefan has an amazing show called The Spin It Social Hour, where he highlights photographers from around the world and tells their stories and shows their work. So thank you for being here, Stefan. Everyone, we're going to be wrapping up this show soon. So if you have any burning questions for Brigetti, put them down below in the comments and we'll be sure to get to them shortly. But Jim, do you want to take our last question here for Brigetti?
Yeah, Brigetti, are there any certain tools or technologies that you would recommend for us to improve our camera appearance? And before I forget, I also want to wish you and all the other women out there, because I have lots of women in my life, a happy Women's History Month. And of course, I know Monday was International Women's Day. So glad that this is an international show today. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. I like to keep things simple. Don't go out and spend a lot of money because it really isn't necessary to do that if you want to level up your on-camera appearance. If you only have a built-in camera, that's okay. You can level up by, as I said earlier, position your camera right, and then add some lighting, because lighting makes a huge, huge, big difference. Before you rush out and change your camera, even if you have an older webcam, you can do amazing things if you can just get the lighting right. So make sure you have a good camera. It doesn't have to be expensive camera, but your camera combined with great lighting is amazing. And then another quick tip is, before you rush out and buy another camera, the cameras on mobile phones are amazing. And there's software that you can use to hook up your cell phone to your computer and use that as your webcam. So that's possible. The other thing that I really believe you should invest in if you are using your phone And we all have to have our phones as a backup system because things, life happens. It's happened to me, and I've had to use my mobile phone. We sometimes have rolling blackouts, and I can't use my computer for a live stream, and then I have to resort to using my mobile phone, and that's great, yay! But always make sure that you have your phone in landscape mode, because it really does not give a good look if it's not in landscape. You get those black marks. It's not a good look on the sides. Don't do that. And then, if you can't invest in a tripod, to me, a tripod's not an optional thing if you're going to be appearing on camera on your phone all the time, because you also want to be comfortable. Don't ever try and hold your phone in your hand if you on a Zoom or a live stream, because it's impossible to hold it still. Your hand, you're going to get tired. It's just not a good thing to invest in a tripod. If you can't invest in a tripod, there's some easy ways to do things. You can take your phone and use some press stick or something, or tape. Just don't tape the camera. Tape it to the wall or tape it to the window, so that you're holding your camera, dead upright in front of you as well. Same principle with your laptop screen being upright. Hold your camera dead straight, so that you get the, not the up nose kind of view. You don't want to do that. And then if you want to use a green screen, there are people that may want to use a green screen for security reasons, for example, is a good reason to use a green screen. But then do some research, get some help, get the right lighting, get some software that'll help you get the best effect if you want to go the green screen route. So those are some of my tips that you can use to look great on camera inexpensively.
Well, I love those tips, and I'm sure our audience appreciates the inexpensively aspect as well. So this has been a great conversation, Brigetti. Jim, is there anything you want to add?
No, this has been great. I would ask Brigetti, because we talked a little bit about this before the show. People don't always realize too, you can do things with like programs like StreamYard with what we call virtual cameras. Do you have any favorite virtual cameras that people might want to think about to kind of enhance some of the things they can do within their camera window?
Well, some of the software like StreamYard, for example, has got a built-in green screen feature, but you do need an actual green screen. Zoom is also amazing, but to get the best effect, again, you do want a green screen, and you can get some pretty inexpensive green screens. You can get those pop-up ones that you can simply put behind you. They work similar to those shields that you put on a car's windscreen to block out the sun, and they fold up like in a little round shape. So you could get one of those. You don't have to get a fancy thing with that takes up a lot of space in your house. So those are sort of ones work amazingly. And then in terms of software, the one I'm currently using is called literally it's called So it's MMHMM. That again, is very, very reasonably priced. And then the other one that I used was Ecamm Live, which is a live streaming software in itself. It's a very good software, but it does have a virtual camera. So that's what you want to look out for is if you want, is the use of a virtual camera. There's lots of other things that it can do, but green screen is one of the things that a virtual camera allows you to do.
Good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Brigetti. We're going to have Andrew Kavanaugh on next week's show talking about photography and Adobe Photoshop. Stefan was recently on Andrew's show. So we're excited about next week's show. But Brigetti, tell everyone how can they connect with you beyond this show?
If you Google my name, Brigetti Lim Banda, you'll find lots of information about me. But my website is www.blivemedia.com. So that's B without the E. So it's just the letter B for Brigetti. That's kind of the story behind Be Live Media. So it's BLI. There we go. Be Live Media. That's where you can reach me. And on Facebook, I've also got a page called Be Live Media and Brigetti.live. So that's how you can find me. And I'm on Twitter. I'm also Brigetti. Yeah, so I think you can find me everywhere if you look for my name, Brigetti. It helps sometimes when you have a slightly unusual name, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Jim. Thank you, Brigetti. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This has been a fun and educational show at the same time. And we'll see you all next week for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. Bye.
Bye.